Hi guys, welcome back to my video. So last video I made a Q&A, which one of the questions on there was something that people shouldn't do, or shouldn't say to people in wheelchairs. And I have a lot of comments asking from people asking me what other kind of things that people shouldn't say or do to others with disabilities, and I think that was really cool. I want to provide people that don't have disabilities with something that they can say, maybe reword it. I know sometimes people have the best intentions and they don't understand that maybe what they're saying is rude or offensive to others. So I kind of want to provide maybe some other words, other phrases that they can use that might be better. And again, I'm just speaking for myself. I know every person with a disability is different. Something that I find rude, another person may not find rude, vice versa. So I'm just speaking for myself. So this is just very general, and I just hope that you guys can take these phrases into consideration, maybe think before you kind of say something that might affect someone in a negative way. But yeah, so if you're interested, then please keep on watching. Hi guys. Alright, so I'm going to be talking about the different things that I don't like people to do or say to others with disabilities. In my last video, I mentioned that I don't like when people ask me what's wrong with you. I prefer when people ask me, why are you in a wheelchair? What kind of disability do you have? Just because I think it's rude to ask someone what's wrong with them, because personally I don't view as anything being wrong with me. I don't like people feeling sorry for me or anything, so I don't really like when people ask in that way. So I thought I'd go over a couple different things. So yeah, the first one is pushing without asking. I think that it's extremely rude and uncomfortable when people just start pushing me out of nowhere, like without even asking me. I think of my wheelchair as a part of my body, so I don't like when people just randomly, like especially strangers, how they feel so comfortable coming up to me and just start pushing me without even asking if I need help. I think it's extremely uncomfortable for me. I don't go up to other people and start pushing them. You don't go up to other able-bodied people and just start like dragging them. So it's like, why would you do that to me? It's just, and I know that they have the best intentions, they're trying to help, but it's always very polite to ask first, do you need help pushing? Can I help you in some way? Or anything like that. It's a lot better and a lot more polite than just randomly start pushing them without even asking if they need your help at all. I know it sounds kind of rude when I say it, but it's very uncomfortable for me when someone just comes into my space and starts pushing me. It's very weird for me. So yeah, the next one is actually Katie commented in my last video, and she said how I felt when people would say wheelchair bound or restricted to a wheelchair. Personally, I don't like those phrases, just because I don't view myself as being wheelchair bound or like restricted to a wheelchair, just because I view my wheelchair as freedom and independence. It's how I get around, and it helps me get around. It helps me to do all of the things that I can do today. It helps me keep up with others, and it's a big part of my independence. I wouldn't be able to do half of the stuff I do without my wheelchair. So I don't really view it as like a punishment type thing or a restriction. It's just kind of like a part of me, and yeah. And also, she also asked how we can reword it so it doesn't come off like rude. I would just saying like, this person uses a wheelchair, this person has a wheelchair. That's always what I say about myself. Oh, I have a wheelchair, I use a wheelchair. Or that's how I describe others, if they don't really know what they're talking about. So that's just kind of how I would word it. Yeah. So the next one is a compliment that people may not be aware that's not really a compliment. I find it really rude when people say you're too pretty to be in a wheelchair. To me, I just feel like you can just tell me that I'm pretty. It doesn't need to be like a whole thing. There's no one way that a person in a wheelchair should look like. I think it's very, very stereotypical to assume that people in wheelchairs should look a certain way. I mean, it's 2017. Everyone is different. So yeah, I think that's a backhanded compliment. Like, I don't think there's any need for you to be like, oh, you're too pretty to be in a wheelchair. It's like, what should we look like? I just don't understand. I think it's really rude. So just, if you think someone's pretty, just comment them, and that's it. There's no need to add all that extra stuff. It's just a compliment. Yeah, so I don't think people are aware that that's kind of like not okay to say. At least for me, I find it kind of rude when people say that. I don't know if anybody else does, but that's just how I feel, and I'm just speaking of how I feel. And another one is staring, which I think is just something that's never gonna go away, to be honest. I've dealt with staring my whole life, but I've gotten really used to it. I don't really care anymore. I don't really mind when people stare at me. I do mind some days though when I have my bad days and someone's just kind of hardcore staring at me. It gets a little bit uncomfortable for me, obviously. I think anyone would feel uncomfortable. I think it's rude for anyone to stare at anyone for a long period of time. Like, you don't want to do that. It's very uncomfortable. It's just rude. It's not very polite. Like, have some manners. But I do remember something that my mom told me when I was younger, and she told me that people are not staring at you because you're different, they're staring at you because you're beautiful. And that's something that stuck inside of me for a really long time, and I still remember it, and it's just kind of like how I go about things now. Even though that may sound like super conceited, it's just something that I like to think about, so I don't get like so annoyed and uncomfortable when people are staring at me. But yeah, I don't really let those little things get to me. I don't really let all these little things get to me because I choose to be happy, I choose not to let all these little things get to me because I want to be a happy person and I choose happiness. I don't want to get all into that, so I just kind of look at the best side of every situation. So yeah, so if you're a young girl out there and you're having trouble with people staring at you, just remember that they're not staring at you because you're different. They're staring at you because you're beautiful. And if you have that mindset in your mind every single day, I promise you're going to be a lot happier person. And yeah, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes and abilities, and never forget that. So just don't even mind the ignorant people saying all these weird comments and all these rude stares. Just take that out of your mind and be who you want to be who you are. And I think beauty comes in every way, and if everyone was the same, it'd be a very boring world out there. So I think it's cool that we're all different. So yeah, so those are the ones that I wanted to talk about. And if you have a disability, then leave a comment down below if you can think of anything else that you don't like when people say, or maybe some other things that people do that you don't like or find uncomfortable. I would love to know what you guys think. And if you don't have a disability, let me know if you found this video helpful. Comment and say, hey, maybe I'll think of this next time I'm asking a question, or I do something for another person that has a disability. That would be really awesome. So also let me know some suggestions that you guys might have for some next videos. I know I'm planning on doing a lot of vlogs soon. I know a lot of you have asked me to do vlogs, and I promise I will. I know it can get kind of boring with me just sitting here against a blank wall and kind of talking to you guys, but my cousin is coming up from Puerto Rico in a couple of weeks, so we're going to be going out and doing stuff like every single day. So I'll have a lot of vlogs for that, and she can also help me film, so it'll be a lot better rather than just me doing nothing. So yeah, so I do have those coming up, I promise. But in the meantime, leave some suggestions down below if you have any questions or ideas that you think I should talk about in my next videos. And yeah, I would really appreciate it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!